Flygirl, Chapter 16. I'm flying under the hood for real this time, a canopy pulled over my cockpit like a glove, blocking out the sky to simulate night flying. The trick, I've discovered, is concentration, just like sitting at the bottom of a swimming pool. I've got to climb into the cockpit and picture the sky outside around me. It's better than the link, where there is no wind tugging against the wings. No, when you're under the hood in a real airplane, you can't see the sky, but you can feel it. I feel safe. My breathing is steady. I even smile sometimes, though no one can see it. Jenkins sends me up for my first solo instrument flight. This is the last hurdle between intermediate and long-distance senior solo flight, then graduation. Lily comes with me as my navigator. There'll be no instructors to save our skins on this trip. She sits behind me, reading the maps, strapped to the leg of her zoot suit, with a small flashlight. I keep both hands on the throttle and both eyes on the control panel in front of me. It is dimly lit, like starlight, but, with practice, I can read it plain as day. We're flying in broad daylight. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, civilian time, 2 days before Christmas. But so far as we can tell, it's midnight outside. Having fun yet? Lily asks me. Boy and how, I reply. I still sweat a little when the hood first closes, but once we take off, once we're in the air, I settle back into the routine. We make a good team, Lily says, and feeds me the coordinates of our next maneuver. Jenkins has us flying around in a big zigzag. Other wasps are stationed here and there throughout the area with binoculars. Once they spot us, they radio back in. We radio when we think we're over them, and then Jenkins gives us the green light for the next leg of the trip. We do, I agree. What are you going to sign up for after commencement? I ask. It no longer feels like a jinx to talk about graduating. We've made it this far. We'll make it all the way. Lily laughs through the speaking tube. I was going to ask you the same thing. Target towing sounds kind of dull, I confess. I was hoping to sign up for ferrying detail. That way I get to fly every type of plane we have. That's what I was thinking, Patsy says. She wants to test pilot. I was sort of hoping we'd all end up at the same place. The thought of our little trio breaking up gives me a moment's pause. I guess I really hadn't thought that far ahead. Yeah. We fly silently for a while. For the first time since leaving New Orleans, I think about life after Avenger Field. I gave up Jolene to be here, and a lot of girls I've met at Avenger have washed out or gone home of their own accord. Melanie Michaels was not the last. Dee Dee Deaton was right. More than half of our original class is gone. I don't want to give up Patsy and Lily, too. Lily announces we've reached our second target area. I radio in our location and circle while Jenkins signals back okay. Lily directs me to the next target. It'd be a shame to break up a team like ours, I say finally. Then don't. I propose a pact. These two musketeers, at the very least, will serve through this war together, and maybe we can get Patsy to join us. I accept. My smile is back. Besides, gives Patsy a few days of flying old patched-up planes, and she'll want back in the race with us. That's right, Lily says. Test piloting isn't as experimental and exotic as she thinks it is. At least not all the time, right? Right. I frown. I think. We're here. Radio in. I reach for the radio. Patsy will have to wait until we land. Half an hour later, we are on the ground. Good work, ladies, Instructor Jenkins tells us. Right on the mark every time. He puts that infamously warm hand on my shoulder. See, Jones, you've come a long way. I can't help but respond whenever he compliments me. In spite of my better judgment, Walt Jenkins makes me feel happy inside. When I smile at him, my grin grows ear to ear. You too, Lowenstein, he tells Lily. Thank you, sir, we both say. Jenkins looks at his clipboard. Oh, and one more thing. We hesitate. His face is so serious, my stomach starts to sink. Ladies, he calls out. From out of nowhere, the rest of Flight 1 comes running, Patsy at the forefront, grinning like a maniac. They hoist us up on their shoulders and body carry us to the wishing well in front of the ready room. Congrats, ladies, you've made it. They toss us unceremoniously into the water. It's the happiest moment of my life. Although the water's barely knee-deep, we cause enough of a splash to make me grateful for my tightly braided pigtails and all of the time in the pool. Without hesitation, I reach down to the bottom and scoop up a few lucky coins to give to Instructor Jenkins. Even after the other girls pull us out, I can't stop laughing. Christmas dawns cold and clear at Avenger Field. We have the day off. The cafeteria is decorated in red and green garlands that remind me of decorations in an elementary school. I've sent the awl off to Grandy, along with the chain and a new lock. Abel's got 2 new pairs of wool socks for the winter. For Mama, well, I know she's been praying over me, and Thomas both, so I bought her a new hat for church. And for Thomas, well, that's the last we heard. He was someplace called Manila in the Philippines, south of China somewhere. I guess signing up for the WASP is the best present I can give Thomas. Anything to help him come home sooner. Instead of joining the other girls for breakfast, I drag a chair outside to the beach to be alone. In the soft silence between the barracks, my eyes lose focus as I try to picture my family's usual early, messy Christmas mornings, with Mama frying ham in the kitchen, me making biscuits, and Abel hopping around in a pile of wrapping paper. Thomas usually had some girl or other he'd beg Mama to let him go see in that afternoon. Mama would say Christmas is for family, but by 3 o'clock she'd be glad to have him out of the house. The house was so full of noise and people on Christmas. But today it's quite as grave out here between the bunkhouses. Too cold for the sunbathers to make an appearance, and at home I know it's just the 3 of them now, with our usual pile of presents dwindled down by the war effort. There will be no new silk stockings for Jolene or bicycle tires for Abel, and no candy canes. Boy, you look long in the face, Patsy says. You've been staring up at the clouds all day. It's true. I've been hiding out here, bundled up in a coat and a hat, not exactly worried about getting too much sun today. With the planes grounded for the day, it was the only place I could think of to get some peace and fresh air. That doesn't explain the sad face, Patsy says. I shrug. Been thinking about my family, I guess. Patsy drags another chair behind her. She plunks into it next to mine, sits on it backward, and joins me. Oh, I gave up on that a long time ago. But I do think about Mrs. Harper and the boys at the air show. That was a great time for a while there. A really fun run. Patsy holds up the scarf around her neck. It's a nubby mix of purple and lilac. Mrs. Harper made this for me during the last cold snap in Florida. She was everybody's mother at the boarding house. You meet all kinds of people on the road, Ida May. I nod, caught up in my own memories. It takes a moment for me to register her words. Patsy Cake, that's the first time you've ever called me by my Christian name. Patsy smiles at me and shrugs. It's Christmas. When else am I going to do it, if not today? So are you going to sit out here all day, or tell me what's on your mind, or neither? In which case we should go inside. There's cocoa and coffee in the mess. I laugh. Well, I guess I should make some sort of decision here. I shake my head at a toss for the right words. Well, it's just, we've been here for months now, and it looks like we're making it, Patsy. My smile is wistful. She shares it with me. And I haven't said it until now, because being a WASP means everything to me. I hesitate. Almost everything. Patsy's face gets very serious, and I feel sad inside. I miss my family, I say. Patsy stares at me for a long time. Oh, honey, she says at last, you really are green. It only hurts on major holidays. Besides, we're your family now. Let's find Lily and open presents. That always helps. I can't help but laugh at my own moodiness. All right, as long as I can have marshmallows, too. We get up and drag the chairs back to the door. Marshmallows, Patsy says in feigned surprise. There's a war going on, Missy. We need those marshmallows to make bombs and fight the war. The tension in my shoulders eases as the day carries on. There are Christmas carols in the rec room and a few games. Patsy gives me a handkerchief with the name Jonesy embroidered on the edge in the WASP uniform color. Santiago blue. Something to remember us by, she says. Wipe the tears away at graduation in style. Lily gives me a small bottle of perfume. My mother swears by it, she assures me. As for me, I give Patsy a new red lipstick for after the war. Or just after finals, she says with a wink. And to Lily, I give a set of hairpins to help tame her curls. Oh, thank you, Ida. I've been lost without at least 7 bobby pins on either side. You'd think these turbans we wear eat them up. I lose so many of them. All in all, the evening is homey and wonderful. After a big meal of roasted chicken and mashed potatoes, we wander back to our bunks, singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, with some of the lyrics confused. No sooner do I sit at the foot of my bed than one of the beginning trainees comes to the door. Is there an Ida Mae Jones here? That's me. I stand up, wondering what it could be. I hope it's not something at the administration building. Post-holiday meal, my khakis are wrinkled, and my clothes are simply too casual to have to take into Mr. and Mrs. Deaton's office. There's someone at the gate for you. Who is it? I don't know anyone in Sweetwater that doesn't live on base. The girl shrugs, brown curls bouncing with motion. Don't know. A nigger woman. Maybe your housekeeper? She turns and leaves without another word. I do nothing but stare after her, just nod and say nothing. Well, Patsy says, you going to go see who it is, or do I have to? Her words shocked me out of my thoughts. No, I'll go. See you soon. I hope everything's all right, Lily calls after me. If our maid Dorcas shows up at base, I think it was the end of the world, she whispers to Patsy. Her voice carries in my ears as I go out the door. End of the world. What would be the end of the world? In a rush, I realize who is at the gate and it might mean. I break into a run, try not to worry, not to think, just to get there. The MP points to the side of the guardhouse. I slow down, take a breath, and turn the corner. Mama is sitting there on the little block of concrete that serves as a bench. She stands up when she sees me, and we stand there looking at each other like each of us has never seen another human being before. I'd forgotten how beautiful she is. Her warm, coffee-colored skin seems so dark to me after so many months away from home. I reach out and touch her arm. Mama, I whisper. Something, whatever it is, that's been building inside of me all day breaks in a great wave. I throw my arms around her, but she stops me. Her eyes dart over my shoulder, and I understand. The guard is watching us. I force myself to laugh and pat her on the back. Mama, Stella, how are you? Fine, Miss Ida Mae, Mama says in a voice so meek. So southern, it makes me feel sick to hear it. What brings you to Sweetwater? I ask as lightly as I can. Is my family all right? Fine, Mama says in a high, wavering voice. Your granddaddy sends his best, and your baby brother, too. Aware of the guard at our backs, we fall into a pattern of mistress and maid. Watching my mother play the role of servant, I feel a sour taste in my throat. I never meant for my own role-playing to bring her such humiliation. I don't know this guard. He gives us a suspicious once-over, the look of someone trying to earn his status. It's all right, I tell him. She's our housekeeper. The word burns my throat, but we can't afford his wariness. We won't be long. Mom and I both smile at him. At last he nods and disappears into the booth. How's Thomas? I ask quickly. Oh, Ida Mae, Mama says, her voice strong and warm once again. Her eyes fill with tears. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a letter. This came last week from the army. They say that Thomas has gone missing. And you know, they don't go back looking for colored boys. My heart drops to my feet. No. I clutch Mama's hand, still holding the letter. No. It's like Daddy dying all over again. The world shrinks, and it's just me and Mama in fear of an agony of sadness. My heart stops beating. I can't breathe. Mama shakes my hand, brings me back to her. Ida, listen to me. They don't go looking for colored boys just because their mothers ask. But they might do it for you. You're a white woman now, and you work for the army. If that means something, if that means anything, then use it to help Thomas. My head spins. Could it work? What would I say? I can't call him my brother, a family friend, the son of my maid. Would they see our shared last name and know I'm passing? Tears of shame sit heavily beneath my lashes, and I feel like Judas to my own family. She steps back. Look at you. You look every inch the lady. I can't claim to understand what you're doing, but the day this letter came, I felt so helpless. Grandy went into town to see what the local recruitment office could do. All they offered was to help with funeral arrangements, like he was already declared dead. Every day I collect bacon grease for the war, but it's useless, isn't it? We can't fight the war with rationing stamps and canned vegetables. We can't save our sons by planting gardens. No matter what they say, we can't. It's not enough. My boy could be dying overseas, and I will not sit in the kitchen waiting for them to send his body home. She reaches into her purse again and pulls out a handkerchief. She wipes her eyes. You do this one thing for me, baby. You help bring Thomas home. I will, Mama. This time I don't care if the guard is watching. I throw my arms around my mother and hold on to her like I've never let her go home. Tears flow down my cheeks into her hair, onto her collar. She shushes me like I was when I was little. It's going to be all right, Ida May. Thomas is alive. I'd know otherwise. It's all right. And I pray to God that it's true. I pray for my brother to find his way to safety. I pray for the strength to make it through the war, through this year, through this night, hour by hour. I repeat the words. What's that, honey? Mama asks. Hour by hour, Mama. That's how we'll win this war. Mama smiles at me. Slowly we let go of each other until we are standing there again, staring like it's the very first time. What was it? That song you and Thomas used to sing? I laugh, but it turns into a sob. Shoo fly. Mama nods. That's right. How'd it go? I shake my head, smiling sadly. She knows exactly how it goes. You're not going to make me sing it. Mama gives me a look, and I know better than to argue. She tries to make me feel better. I take a deep, shuddering breath. Shoo fly, don't bother me. Shoo fly, don't bother me. Shoo fly, don't bother me, for I belong to somebody. Mama joins me. I feel like a morning star. I feel like a morning star. I turn around. The guard has come back out of the guardhouse. I smile and wave, but we stop singing. He shakes his head and goes back inside. I better go, Mama says. Suddenly I have so much to say. She can't leave me. Where are you staying? Are you in town? I think of how hard it must be to find a hotel for coloreds out here. Oh no, Mama says, don't worry. I've got my train schedule right here. I'll be heading back home in a few hours. I just needed to see you and tell you about Thomas. This is the first Christmas we've all been apart. I know. I pause, feeling like anything else I say will be useless. Did you get the hat I sent you? I did. I won't wear it until you both come home again. Oh, Mama, I meant for you to enjoy it now. Wear it and think of me. Mama huffs. Girl, I don't need a hat to think of you. I never stop thinking about you or any of my babies. Now finish up your work here and come home as soon as you can. Yes, ma'am. I salute her. Merry Christmas, Miss Ida May, she says. Merry Christmas. I think we might stand here for hours just to be together again, but the guard sticks his head out of the box and Mama looks at the watch. I've got a train to catch. She leaves the gate and climbs into a truck that I've only just now noticed has been waiting. Before I can even ask her who it is, I see the driver, an older colored gentleman in overalls. It's McIntyre, the farmer from the hardware store, the man who saw right through me and made sure I knew it. I shiver at the memory of his warning. Mama turns and nods at me. Grandy knows folks all over, she says, and they drive away into the night. I stand there bewildered as they disappear into the deep, dark, black blue of the nighttime grassland. It feels like a dream, and then I think of Thomas, and it becomes more of a nightmare. It's several long minutes before I willingly leave the cold air at the gate to find my bed. Is everything all right, Jonesy? Patsy asks in a quiet voice when I re-enter the barracks. I've missed lights out. Everyone's in bed except for Patsy and Nancy Howard, who is trying to read a book by flashlight 3 cots away. Patsy sits up when I come in. The light from the bathroom casts a dim glow across the bunk room floor. No, I whisper and sit on the edge of her bed. Well, who was it? My mother. I say it without thinking. Patsy looks at me, but I can't read her face. Across the room I can hear Nancy Howard sit up on her cot. I thought that girl said there was a nigger out there, Nancy hisses. She folds away the book she was reading and starts to stand up. My skin goes cold. "Sit down, Howard," Patsy says. Her voice is low, but still sharp enough to make Nancy hesitate. "Can't you see she's upset?" Patsy puts her hand on my arm. "What happened, Ida?" "My mother's maid came to tell me some bad news." I take a deep breath and hate myself more than I ever thought possible. I shrugged nervously. "She wanted my help." "I thought you were a farm girl," Nancy snipes. "Must be some farm if your mother's got her own maid." I press my hands to my cheeks as if I can hold back my blush. I'm too rattled to lie well. "I said leave her alone," and Patsy snaps at Nancy. "So what if they have a maid?" I don't know if Patsy really believes me or if she doesn't. She never lets on. Nancy Howard sits back down in her cot, but I can feel her eyes boring into me. "What did she come to tell you, sugar?" I close my eyes and try to find the right words. I will go to hell for this, I think. I should go to hell. My mother's face looks back at me in the dark, my own mother who will let me treat her like a servant just so she could talk to me. When the first tear rolls down my face, I can't tell if it's for Thomas or for pure shame. To tell me her son is missing in the South Pacific. We grew up together. Patsy says nothing. She looks past me at Nancy Howard. I'm glad I'm not on the receiving end of that look. Nancy sniffs and lies back down on her bed. "Didn't take you for a nigger lover. Tough luck, Jones," is all she says. My face burns and I stifle a sob. Yeah, tough luck. Patsy takes my hand. Her fingers are still as cool as the first day we shook hands on the bus. "Don't you mind her. You were raised with your mammy's son. She was raised with snakes. What kind of help did she need?" "Finding him. Do you suppose I can help put a request in with Mrs. Deaton tomorrow?" "Sure, honey. If not, she'll know what to do. Now where's that kerchief I gave you?" "What?" I blink up at her. "Oh, here." I reach into my footlocker for the embroidered cloth and start to wipe my eyes. "No, give it here. I'm going to teach you something." Patsy takes the handkerchief and ties one of the corners into a knot. "This is a worry knot. You're a wasp now, and that's a lot like being a carny. We've got to travel light bags, light worries. Tie up all your cares into this knot, Ida. It'll be there for you when the war is done. You'll untie it when the boy comes home. No point in carrying it on your shoulders." She hands me back the handkerchief, and I finger the little knot. It's hard and tight, not likely to come undone any time soon. That feels just about right. "Thank you, Patsy." I want to say more, but Nancy Howard is listening. All I can do is squeeze Patsy's hand and hope she understands. "Sure, kid. Good night." She kisses me on the forehead and goes back to her bed. After a long moment, I get up again and brush my teeth, wash my face, change into my pajamas, and crawl into bed. Thomas has to come home, and so do I. Becoming a wasp was selfish. Selfish, stupid, and dangerous. God, Nancy Howard almost had me tonight, and in Texas, that could cost me my life. All I could think of was wanting to fly. The war was just an opportunity. It wasn't real. But it's real now, and it means my brother is missing. It means my mother has lost her husband, and now maybe her son. And she came all this way, letting her treat her worse than a dog, just to tell me. To tell me what? That my world will never be same again. I tuck my knotted handkerchief under my pillow and try to let it take away my cares. I think of Abel, lying in his little bed hundreds of miles away, without even his mother to tuck him in on Christmas night. I make him a promise, but to him, by next Christmas, I'll be home to stay.